Hello and welcome to ScreenBlitz, the weekly film and television show dedicated to giving you all the top news, views, reviews, previews, features, opinions, and more. I'm your host Grant Burton. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at @the_Grant Burton, or you can go thoughtsbygrant.wordpress.com for all of my written reviews. This week, we're doing things a little differently, because usually I present this in one long episode, and you're still going to get that, just it's going to be on a Friday instead. If you're watching this on a Monday, that means you're watching part 1 of the show, which is dedicated to the news. Part 2, which is dedicated to the featured topic of the week, which this week is my most anticipated films of 2018, still to come. Then you'll be watching it on a Tuesday. On Wednesday, I'll be posting my reviews of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 5, Unsane, and The Death of Superman. We'll see how that goes. More shorter, more focused content. We'll see what happens with that. But you can still get the full episode on the Friday starting this week. Or if you want to watch this show a little earlier, you can go to twitch.tv/the_Grant Burton and watch it live every Saturday starting next Saturday. That's right, live on Twitch. As it happens, as this train wreck of a show falls apart right in front of your eyes. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but yeah. On Twitch, you can get involved, get me some questions, topics, concerns. You can follow me there as well. Or if you're watching on YouTube, I'd appreciate it if you subscribed, gave me a thumbs up, shared this across social media, helped me build my audience. With 100 subscribers, I get a custom URL, which is far better than the one I have at the minute, because it's just really long, confusing, and annoying. It's not very easy to share. So yeah, let's get on with part 1 of the show, which is the news. Item number 1 from Justin Kroll at Variety. Robert De Niro is in talks to join Joaquin Phoenix's Joker movie. Sources say De Niro would be portraying a talk show host who plays a part in driving Phoenix's character to go mad and become the clown prince of crime. According to insiders, the script has ties to De Niro's film King of Comedy, about a failing comedian who kidnaps a popular talk show host to gain fame. In this case, the roles would be reversed, with De Niro playing the smug host. So, this is significant news because Robert De Niro, I don't think, has ever done a superhero or comic book film. So, one of the big selling points of this film for Joaquin Phoenix and everyone involved is that it's more of a crime drama than a superhero action film. And I think that's one of the reasons Robert De Niro might be interested in it. And if this were the Robert De Niro of, say, 20 years ago, it would add some legitimacy to it. But let's face it, Robert De Niro not always taken that seriously anymore. He does a lot of comedies, a lot of bad films now. But still a good actor, I suppose. So yeah, we'll see how this turns out. Item number 2. No, not item number 2, because again I'm having problems. This gets on my nerves. Mike Fleming Jr. from Deadline says a remake of Bruce Lee's Enter the Dragon has Deadpool 2's David Leitch in talks. It might be David Leitch, I don't know. But David Leitch is a good director. He's a former stuntman as well. He knows how to do action scenes and choreography. So, a good guy to do this film, but the question is, how do you remake Enter the Dragon without Bruce Lee? This is Bruce Lee's defining role. I believe it was released after he died as well. And you can't find a replacement for Bruce Lee, at least not easily. Yeah, you can get someone in there that knows Kung Fu and martial arts, but Bruce Lee was more than that. He was much more of an icon and a character. So, you can't just throw anyone in this role and expect it to work, I don't think. But David Leitch, he's a good filmmaker, he's got some good films under his belt, and if anyone can do it, he's one of the guys that probably can. But it won't be the same without Bruce Lee. I think Jackie Chan also had a small role in Enter the Dragon, so maybe get him in there, for the sake of paying homage to it and a callback to the original. Next up, Michael Schneider at IndieWire says the night of Season 2, HBO wants it, but they're waiting on co-creator Steven Zaillian. The Night Of is one of the best shows I've ever seen. It's absolutely brilliant. I love it. It's a mini series. I think it had 8 episodes, 2 of which were feature length. And yeah, I'm not going to spoil it. This is a must-watch show for anyone who's interested in crime drama TV. Visually, it's one of the best shows I've ever looked at. Narratively, character-wise, it's really, really good. Every character is just really interesting and fascinating. And yeah, I don't think I need a second season. I think it'll be like True Detective in that you do a second season with new characters, new location, new crime, and it just won't be the same. It won't be quite as good. So I think it's risky doing a second season, but it could be good. It could be interesting at the least. Number 4, also from Michael Schneider at IndieWire, HBO will only move forward with one Game of Thrones spin-off for now. So Game of Thrones coming to an end next year. It's rumored to be early next year as well now. The first spin-off is a prequel and it's entering production at the end of this year. Well, the pilot's entering production at the end of this year. We don't know yet if it's actually going to become a full-fledged series. And it's got Jane Goldman and George R.R. Martin attached. So the fact that George R.R. Martin's attached to it, that's got me a good thumbs up, and I've got hope in that because I think George R.R. Martin is a brilliant writer, one of my favourite writers of all time. I love the books. The books are far better than the TV show, by the way. But there's plenty of stuff from the books and the supplemental books and materials that have not been adapted. There's tons of flashbacks and other events mentioned in the books that just could not make it into the TV show. So there's plenty of material for spin-off shows in the Game of Thrones universe. That being said, we don't want too much Game of Thrones. A lot of people have grown a little tired of it, the fact that it is 8 seasons now. Perhaps take a little break. You don't need to rush out with a sequel or a spin-off or a prequel. There is such a thing as too much Game of Thrones. So moving on, next story. Oh god, I'm probably gonna butcher this name, but I'll give it a go anyway. Hoi Tan Bui from Slash Film. Batman Hush will lead DC's 2019 slate of animated films. Batman Hush is one of 4 original DCU animated films announced at San Diego Comic-Con this weekend, which include The Reign of Superman, Justice League vs. the Fatal 5, and Wonder Woman Bloodlines. So, interesting how in this announcement there's no mention of the DC streaming service. I think this is a little bit of a mistake to not have these films go straight to that service, because it needs content, it needs regular content and updates. I'm sure these will probably end up there eventually, but it seems like a little bit of a misstep to not just put them straight on there like a Netflix would. But yeah, I understand them, they're wanting to release them on home media, they want to get a wider audience. So yeah, I get that. But as for what they're adapting, Hush is one of Batman's best novels. Personally, I think it's just alright, but it does get a really good reception generally from the audience. It's a fascinating one to say the least, and yeah, it would make a pretty good film, I think. Although it would rely a little on knowing your Batman lore and characters. Next up, the big news item of the week, and I was absolutely amazed. Well, not so much amazed because I knew it was coming, but over the moon with this news. Deadwood is back. This is from Chris Evangelista at Slash Film. The Deadwood movie is finally officially happening. Yay! Deadwood is my favorite show of all time. Plain and simple, I love this show. It's one of the few shows that I can watch over and over again, and I can still get the enjoyment out of it that I did the first time watching it, but also where I'm like noticing little things and subtle differences and thinking, I didn't realize that the first time, or I didn't realize that the second or third time. It's really well written, really good show. Very adult though. A lot of sex and nudity, a lot of bad language, really bad language as well. So this show is not for everyone, but without a doubt one of HBO's best, and cancelled far too early because it was costing them too much to make and the ratings weren't quite where they wanted them. When the show was cancelled 12 years ago, They originally said they were going to do 2 TV movies to wrap things up. For whatever reason, those never came about. And then, yeah, it seemed like Deadwood was dead. All the actors had moved on, the creators went and done different things. David Milch done the TV show Look, which didn't last very long. He also done John from Cincinnati, which wasn't very good. But yeah, Deadwood didn't look like anything was going to happen with that show ever again. And 12 long, long years ever, it's actually happening. We are getting a TV movie, and it's starting production at the end of this year with an air date sometime next year. So I can't wait for that. But one little disappointment is that sadly actor Powers Booth passed away last year. I think it was last year, yeah. And he's one of the main characters in Deadwood. He's certainly one of the best characters in Deadwood. But you could certainly do the show without him. I don't think he's quite integral anymore, but he will be missed. And I hope they at least acknowledge him in the show. I mean, they're going to have to acknowledge a lot of things, because 12 years, they're not just going to be able to continue it as if this is like the next day from the last episode. They're going to have to do a time jump. So a lot of the characters, I think, in this Deadwood movie will probably be dead. Yeah. But yeah, it's a shame Powers Booth can't be a part of this, because it's probably his best role ever. And he was a good actor. Rest in peace. Talking about reboots or revivals, Nelly Andreeva at Deadline says a Frasier reboot is being explored by Kelsey Grammer and CBS TV Studios. Rumors suggest it will star Grammer in the titular role, and it will be set in a new city. So, Frasier is one of the best comedies ever made, plain and simple. It's really funny. It lost its way a little towards the end, maybe it went a little too long, but for a spin-off show, it was really good. The original Cheers is probably on par with it, I would say. I'm not that keen on the first few seasons of Cheers, but Frasier, really good, fascinating new characters. David Hyde Pierce is brilliant as Niles. I believe he was nominated for an Emmy every season of that show, but I could be wrong. But yeah, a Frasier reboot, it won't be the same, especially if it's not made by the same people, which it doesn't sound like it will be. If David Hyde Pierce isn't going to be in it in some form, that's just a really big mistake, because he was brilliant in Frasier. And obviously we won't have John Mahoney in it. He sadly passed away not too long ago, which is another shame. But yeah, this is a really big risk. How do you reboot or do a sequel or spin-off to one of the greatest shows ever with a different cast and crew? It's going to be challenging, but it has been done before. Frasier itself was a spin-off, like I've mentioned, and that worked out really well. So maybe this can do it, maybe not. Either way, I'm not entirely sure if I want it. I don't think I need more Frasier, but it would be nice to get Kelsey Grammer back in a major role again, because he's only popped up here and there in small like TV shows that haven't really been hits, and he's done a couple of films as well. Nothing too major or successful. Amanda Nduka at Deadline says Charlie's Angels reboot or remake. Kristen Stewart, Naomi Scott confirmed with Ella Balinska set to star in Elizabeth Banks' directed reboot. Elizabeth Banks is also playing Bosley, the employer, and that's a significant thing because in 2018 a straight up remake or reboot of Charlie's Angels probably wouldn't work too well. And because it's about basically three what's meant to be like attractive, sexy spies working for this mysterious, almost like Hugh Hefnerish guy. Now I should point out now I've never actually seen Charlie's Angels, so maybe he's not a Hugh Hefnerish guy, but I get the vibe that it's a little creepy, and in 2018, that's probably not wise to work on. So putting Elizabeth Banks in that role probably gets rid of that a little. And what's interesting is who they've cast in it, because out of the three leads who you're seeing right there, Kristen Stewart is probably Is it Kristen Stewart? Yeah, Kristen Stewart. She's probably the biggest star of the three. The other one in the middle was recently in the Power Rangers movie. That's kind of all I know her from. So, yeah, why haven't they cast three big name stars? That seems like a risky move. And I don't know who the other one is, sadly. Could be great actresses. In fact, I know one of them at the very least is. But yeah, they interesting not to go for big name stars. Final story, and to end this part of the show, Mike Fleming Jr. at Deadline says that Ryan Reynolds is to produce a revised version of Home Alone entitled Stoned Alone. It centers around a 20-something weed-growing loser who misses the plane for his holiday ski trip. He makes the best of things by getting high. Paranoia sets in and he believes he hears someone break into his house. Turns out thieves have broken in. Fully stoned and fueled by paranoia, he tries to thwart the thieves and defend his castle. So, Home Alone, my favorite Christmas film. I try to watch it every year. I don't actually watch it every year, but I do like to give it a go. And yeah, you can't do a straight up remake. They tried to do that with like Home Alone 3. Didn't work. And what, there's like 6 films in this franchise now or something like that. Only the first 2 are good. And yeah, you have to do something different if you want to keep this alive. And noticeably, it doesn't say that Ryan Reynolds is actually starring in it. I imagine he is, but it doesn't say that. And this is going to be pretty much what you expect. It will be a goofy stoner movie with probably cheap jokes and little weird, funny laughs here and there. It's going to be nothing like the original. Doesn't even say if it's going to be a Christmas movie, although it does say a holiday ski trip, so maybe it is. And I don't want this film at all. I'm probably not going to see it unless it ends up being like, what was it, like some of The Rock's recent films, Welcome to the Jungle, Jumanji, where they've actually been decent reboots or revivals. But what they should do here is bring back Macaulay Culkin. That would be great. If Macaulay Culkin has some sort of role in this film, that would be brilliant. It would be hilarious. But I'm not sure if they'll do that. Maybe they will. I don't know. He doesn't do much these days, acting-wise. And that's all I've got for the news. But there was one big breaking news topic that came out last night, which I hadn't had time to add to the show, so I'm going to briefly talk about it. They announced the cast for Star Wars Episode 9 last night, and the usual expected people are back. John Boyega, Daisy Ridley, Oscar Isaac, Domhnall Gleeson and Adam Driver. They're all back as you would expect. The interesting stuff comes next though. Billy D. Williams has finally been confirmed to be in it, which is great. Talked about that multiple times now, so I'm not going to go on about that again. Mark Hamill is back. Spoilers, he's probably going to be portraying a Force Ghost, so don't know how big his role is, but yeah. Bring back the proper Luke Skywalker, not the one we had in The Last Jedi. Great performance in The Last Jedi, just not my Luke Skywalker. And then the really surprising one is Carrie Fisher is back in it. Now, they're not going to recast Princess Leia. That would be a huge mistake, and I just would not be able to support that, because I love Carrie Fisher. And the other thing is, they can't use CGI because that was criticized in Rogue One. They've said they wouldn't use CGI. So how are they bringing it back? Well, they are using unused footage from The Force Awakens to bring her character back in some form. I imagine this means they're going to digitally remove her from certain scenes and then add her into certain scenes in this upcoming film. In which case you could end up with having just Carrie Fisher standing there in the background looking busy or whatever. Yeah, it's something. It's tough because you have to work with the material that you've got. It reminds me a little of Gladiator. There was the actor in that film whose name escapes me right now, who he died halfway through production, so they had to do some trickery to finish off the work that he'd done there. But yeah, there could be like body doubles in certain scenes where people are talking to Princess Leia, but it's not actually her, but we don't see that. They could end up like digitally adding her head or face to another actor, which might be borderline what they're trying to avoid with the CGI stuff, but it could work. As long as they give her a good send off, I'm all for it. I don't want her character to simply vanish. I don't want her character to die either. Yeah, I think that would be in poor taste at this point. But moving on to trailers, the final part of this part of the show, because I forgot about that when I mentioned it earlier. Deadly Class, based on the graphic novels, I believe. I've never read the graphic novels, so I don't really know much about the show or the novels themselves, but it's made by the Russo brothers, who done Avengers Infinity War as well as Captain America Civil War and Winter Soldier, so it's great to have them back on TV. Before that, I think they worked on Community. I could be wrong about that, but I'm fairly certain I'm right. So they've been on TV before, they're great directors, they know what they're doing, they've touched on action in a big way now, and this show, I don't know what it's about. Looks like it's high school assassins or something like that, and it looks weird. It doesn't really explain itself very well, this trailer, but if you like the graphic novel, maybe you'll like this. The only reason that this is notable for me is because it's the Russo brothers. So yeah, check it out. It looks interesting. It just doesn't really explain what the show is exactly. Final trailer, and now the official final part of the show, is Alita Battle Angel. This is also based on a graphic novel, or manga is the correct term, I believe. So the film looks fine. It looks like a fairly generic science fiction action movie. The thing that stood out to me is the weird CGI, and you're seeing it there. The CGI to make this character just looks weird. It does not look real. I'm not sure if it's meant to be real, but everyone else in the film is just live action, whereas this character seems to be the only one that's got like really manga googly eyes, and it just looks really odd and out of place, and I hope there's a storyline reason as to why it looks this way, and that they're not just trying to recreate the look of the manga, because that would just be odd. So Alita Battle Angel, very well liked graphic novel or manga. I've actually read the original, a little bit of it anyway. It's not for me. I think there's a lot of big films coming out this year. This film's going to get lost in the crowd. I don't think it's been marketed very well so far. I think more than likely this is going to bomb, sadly. And that's the news for this week. If you've liked what you've seen, I'd appreciate it if you subscribe. Seriously, subscribe. 100 subscribers, that's my current goal. Gets me a custom URL, makes it easier for me to share and spread the word about this channel and all the products and content I want to make. If you don't want to subscribe, then give me a thumbs up. That would be great too. Leave a comment down below. I'll get to it next week or throughout the week if it's not good enough to be on the show. And what else? Share this across social media. If you don't like it, someone else might. So let them know about it. Help me reach a wider audience. That would be very, very appreciated. But I'm Grant Burton. This is the news. But if you're watching the full show, it's time to move on to the big topic. But I will be back in literally 5 seconds, hopefully, because I forgot to get my drink.